All right, and here we are. It is just a week before our midterm exam is due. Our midterm exam is due here for the fall of 25 on September 13th at 11:59 p.m. for students at Elgin Community College. That leaves us about a week till the midpoint of our course, which over 8 weeks goes by very, very quickly. So midterm in between us is our next hurdle. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So here is the midterm exam. We can go ahead and find that midterm exam on D2L by going to assignments and scrolling down to midterm exam and clicking on the PDF attachment there to bring up this document. And first thing we're faced with is the 4 required elements of this midterm and their associated point values. All together, we're at 300 points out of our semester's possible 1,000 here. 4 components of this midterm. The first being to model the bottle itself. That is 50 points. And then we're going to model the cap, another 50 points there. And we're going to create a bottle assembly from those 2 parts and then explode that assembly for 50 points. 100 points rather on that one. That's pretty generous. 100 points for that part. And the last part is to recreate this medicine bottle assembly drawing shown right here. And that to be done with the inclusion of your name so that I know who it is, and a couple of other new things in here as well. 100 points there, 100 points there, 50-50, it gives us 300. So let's dig into it and take a look at it, starting with the bottle. So the bottle itself is a hollow bottle. We're going to have what would look like a screw-on cap, much like a medicine type of a bottle, a screw-on jar. But we're not going to be dealing with threads, thankfully, for a lot of you here. But we have a hollow bottle that has walls of 100 thousandths, diameter, max diameter here of the lower portion of 2 inches. The upper portion is 1.5. Overall height to the shoulder here is 2.5, and the height of that shoulder on there where the cap would attach is 1/2 inch. And that's really all that we need to know, other than a couple of fillets on here. And there are a couple different ways to do this. You could do a revolve. You could go ahead and do simple extrusion, create the bottom part, extrude, and then add another sketch to the center of the lower one and do that. Whichever way you want to do it. I'm going to do it as a revolve. I think it's probably the little bit more advanced or elegant way of doing it, but the choice is yours. Again, it doesn't matter how you get to the end, just as long as you get to the end and things are done correctly. All right, so into here, and let's go ahead and start a new drawing. We will call it midterm bottle. Video 2. I started a video 1 before, and the cat went crazy, chasing things around the house that weren't there, playing with toys, and just things kind of got sideways. So we're starting over. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start a sketch on the front plane. And we're going to change our viewpoint so that we can see the front. We're going to zoom in a bit. First thing is we're going to add a center line for that revolve feature. We're going to get into the line tool. We know our diameter of our part is going to be 2 inches overall. So that means a radius of that is going to be 1 inch. And now we're just going to go and draw the rest of this thing. Whoop, not a center line. A regular line would be better. Get that looking pretty good to scale. Okay. Double click on that center to get out of there. So we know that this is supposed to be 2.5, right? 2.5 tall. And this right here is 0.5. And then we need some rounds. So our corners are rounded here, here, and here. I don't think the top was. Yep, nice and flat. So we have a round right here. Okay, we can see that right there. One right there, and then one right there. All right, so let's add those three into our original sketch. It's probably just going to be a little bit quicker that way. So we get into our fillet. And then we're going to pick our two lines, set that radius, 0.5. Apparently the 0.5 isn't right because that's way too darn big. Yeah, it's 100 thousandths. 0.5 isn't going to work. That's what happens when you try to put in a round or a feature or make an edit to something that doesn't make sense mathematically. Creo's going to go, hey, buddy, you sure you want to go ahead and do that? All right, so let's add the rest of those fillets here and here. And we can go down here, fill it again, there and there. Let's zoom in and let's use our little cheat and do an equals. So we're going to pick that. And we're going to make that one equal. So that's click the one you want to be essentially your master dimension. And then you're going to hit that equal sign first. The first one that's going to be the one that everything else is going to follow. And then you just go through and click on these other ones. And they're all going to follow that 0.1 so that they're all the same there. And we're going to hit OK on that sketch. Let's go ahead and revolve that sketch. It's going to revolve around that center that we put there. Oh, look at that though. We put it at the top. We don't want that. So let's go back here. Let's hit OK on there. Let's go back. It's all right. We go back to the sketch and go back and edit there. And that's gonna really cause us a problem though, isn't it? Because we're going to do a fillet there and there. It's gonna be 0.1. Okay. And then we're gonna have to come here and delete this one because let's go ahead and add a line there. Boop, boop. Close that thing off. All right, so now let's look at that and see if that looks better. Okay, so we still have 100, 100. Let's make sure that one at the bottom is 100 as well. That's 100 as well still. Okay. All right, so we got that. Hit the OK. Updates our model. Okay, there's our bottle so far. Looking pretty good. We just got to go ahead and shell that thing, hollow it out. We're going to click on that open face on the top there where we want that hole to be. We're going to go to our options, properties here, and we're going to change that thickness to 100 thousandths. We're going to hit OK and turn off that, and we are good. We have a bottle. It is hollow. It has fillets in the places, rounds in the places that it's supposed to. So that is good. All right, part one is done. Let us go to the cap. All right, so looking at the cap, we have a couple things going on here. We have an overall diameter of 1.9. So the widest here, we have a center opening of 1.5 inches. It's going to fit over the top of that bottle. We have a diameter of 1.8 from here to here. And then we have a pattern of rounds, 50 of them, which are going to travel around here. So that we have that like knurling, that texture on there, so that when we go to open up the cap, we have something to grab onto. So we're going to create that with an axis pattern, would probably be the best way to do that. And we have a thickness overall of 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch from there to there. And then we've got, let's see here. We've got 1/2 inch there. And then we have 100 thousandths there to there, and 100 thousandths from the top of that to there, where that opening is. All right, so let's start off. We need 0.18, and then those circles of a diameter of 100 thousandths, so 1.8. Let's go. And we have a new file, a new part file, midterm cap. I'm going to turn my planes back on. I'm going to go ahead and get myself to my let's go to the top this time. I'm going to draw on the top this time. All right, and let's get into a sketch. That's going to be on that plane right there. Oh, we're already into the sketch. That would probably be helpful there. All right, so we're sketching on the top. All right, let's get in here. Let's get a center diameter circle. Go right onto that origin there. And we're going to set that. Circle. Left click to start, left click to end. Double center. Make that a little bit smaller at 1.8 inches. Let's go in and let's set up this pattern now. All right, so we're going to do another center. And let's double click on that. So it's supposed to be 100 thousandths. Okay. Let's go ahead and trim this guy off. So we can either pattern this in our sketch and sketch out those 50 instances, or we could do it, extrude it right now, and then go ahead and copy that feature on there. I'm just going to go ahead and do it in the sketch. So let's clean things up a little bit, delete this segment because we don't want that. We don't want that one there, and we don't want that in there or that there. We want that nice and open. Which way is going to be harder though? I think we're going to have to do a lot more work if we do it inside the sketch. Let's go ahead. Let's hit OK. Let's extrude. Let's do something else here. Let's do that sketch again on this top plane. And let's just create. We're all about efficiency. If we do the sketch and go through that way, we're going to have to edit a whole lot of circular features and cut out and just do all kinds of extra work. So let's take this the quick way. Sometimes it's fun to take the long route. We're going for easy today. Let's get this thing done. Let's go ahead and extrude that thing to a thickness of, what was it, 1/2 inch? Pretty sure that's what it was. Let's make sure. So 1/2 inch for right there. Yep, 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch, 0.5, enter. We're going to hit OK. We're going to go back to that top view. And we're going to go create a new sketch right on top here. Okay, and we're going to draw a center circle, left click, go 100 thousandths. Let's go ahead and hit OK there. Let's extrude that guy. Let's go back that way. We're going to go 1/2 inch. We're going to hit OK. And then let's go ahead and let's make a pattern from that extrusion. So let's make sure that extrusion 2 is highlighted. Let's go back to our top view so we can get a good look at that. Got extrusion 2. We're going to do a pattern. We want to do an axis pattern. Okay, and let's turn on CSYS. So we're going to grab an axis because it's the first thing it wants us to do is tell us what axis. I'm going to choose the Y. Okay. Go back over here. How many instances do we want? We want 50 of those. So the distance between those is going to be 360 degrees in the circle divided by 50. 50 instances. Center is at y-axis. We see the 50, the preview of that there. And let's go. Okay. Boom. There we go. All right. So we got that texture on the side. Very nice. Let's go ahead and go back to the top so we can see that nice top view. I think I've probably had enough of looking at the CSYS. It's really all I needed for there, and also the plane. So let's do another extrusion. We're going to do that right on top of here. The circle that we're going to extrude, it's going to be 1.9 diameter, which is going to be that 100 thousandths plus the 1.8 from here across to there, right? Or we could just click and we'll grab that quadrant point of that circle instead of putting that dimension in. I'm going to hit OK. And there we go. It's going to try and extrude it to 1.9. We don't want a cap that's quite that thick, though. Let's double check. I think it was 100 thousandths. It is 100 thousandths, 100 thousandths with a radius on there, too. So with a round on there as well. Okay, so let's get that in there. So we're 100 thousandths here. 1, enter. Let's hit OK. Those two are going to join together. Let's go ahead and add a round to this edge. That radius is going to be 100 thousandths. There we go. We got our cap. We do need to put a hole in the middle of this. So let's look at this from the bottom. So we're looking that nice and straight on. Let's go ahead and do an extrusion on this face. We're going to go right at center. I'm going to do a circle. That dimension of that circle is going to be 1.5 wide to fit over the cap. And then the depth of that, we have 100 thousandths from here to here. And then from here to that start point, there is another 100 thousandths. So we have 200 thousandths subtracted from our 0.5 plus our 0.1. So 400 thousandths on the depth, right? Or we could just go 0.5 minus 0.1 would probably be the easier way to do it. But there we go. So 400 thousandths, 1.5 inch diameter on that one. All right, so let's double click there. We got 1.5 diameter. We hit OK. Get our extrusion. Going to be 0.4. We're going to flip the direction around so that we are taking that out. Only 0.4 though. 0.4. We're going to remove material and we're going to hit OK. And there is, ladies and gentlemen, our cap for our bottle. All right, let's go ahead and make sure we save that. I'm going to get that into a different place. And I would suggest that you put these into the same place. Okay, because we want to start a folder because we're going to do an assembly. So we want those parts in that assembly folder. We also want to put the assembly file in there, and then we'll go ahead and put the drawing file all in the same spot. Okay, so I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it Midterm Video. Midterm Video. And I'm going to save the midterm cap there. And then I'm going to go ahead and get into my bottle. And I'm going to save that one into midterm video as well. And hit OK there. And I have those two things done. All right, so those two, nice and done. That's 100 points. We're a third of the way there in the points. All right, next 100 is going to be for the assembly. Always an interruption. Somebody walking by in front of the house, the dog's got to let them know, not in my neighborhood kind of thing. So here we go. So we've got our first 100 points done. Next one is going to be for the assembly. So here we go. File, new assembly. Call it bottle assembly, video. And here we go. So we're going to do a bottom-up assembly because we're creating it from existing components. So we're going to start off right here. And first part we're going to grab is going to be Creo file, which is going to be our midterm bottle part. We're going to open that one. And remember, when we add this and put this in, when we're creating these assemblies, when we set this up by doing the revolve and by setting up the cap right on the top, and this was on the front as a revolve, those things are already aligned and lined up around the origin, the CSYS. But just good practice is to go ahead and go to default for this one. We're going to hit OK and drop the bottle in. Okay, got the bottle there. And then let's go ahead and grab our second part, which is going to be the cap. We're going to hit open. And if we flip that guy over to default, notice that it disappears because they're right over each other. Isn't that convenient? But we can leave it. I just want you to see how that is. How that works and why that benefits you. I'm going to hit Control Z and not do that way though. But we have this one on default. We're going to get this one generally into the location. And remember, we have those 6 degrees of freedom, those 6 axes in which we got to go ahead and limit our motion on things. So we want this over here. So we're going to go ahead and set up that as a constraint. So those are coincident. And then we're going to go ahead and say that we want an additional constraint. So click on New Constraint. We're going to click on the top face in here. We're going to scroll down and we're going to click on the top face of that bottle. And that's going to be coincident. They're going to sit right on top of each other. Very nice. Sometimes remember that we'll go in there as a distance one and leave you set off, set apart from each other. You can just go ahead and use the distance one and set the distance to 0. Whichever way you want to do it, coincidence or distance of 0, it all gets us the same thing. So there we go. We have the assembly, more or less. We just need to go ahead and do something with that, right? So we have to go ahead and do an exploded view on that. Okay, real nice. All we got to do is click it. Creo does a good job for us. We go, that's nice. That's beautiful. Fantastic. Good. Okay, make sure we save that. We save it into that folder that we created with our other stuff in there. So that is there. That is done. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, just that is 100 points of this midterm. So we're 200 points down. All right, last 100 points. Here we go into the drawing. So we need to recreate this drawing. So what do we need here? We need to zoom out a little bit so we can see everything at once. So here is our primary view, right? So we need to set up a multi-view drawing here. Really, we're not doing a whole lot. We're just kind of doing a main view right here, a most descriptive view. And then down below it, we have a top view, or a bottom view in this case, rather, which either one of those is going to look very similar. Notice that it does have a center mark on there, so we do need to include that on there. That we are sectioning, doing a sectional view of this view here, showing this to the right of that. So that means we're going to project a view over here, and then we're going to create a section using this parting line. And then we're going to do a detail view of this joint between the cap and the bottle, just to show that in a little bit further detail. Then we're going to include that exploded view of the assembly over here. And then we're going to add balloons for the parts, and we're going to add a bill of materials or a list of those parts there. I'm just going to do that simply by manual ways. So we got to create a drawing from those things. So let's go ahead, back into Creo, File, New. We're going to do a drawing, and we're going to call this the Midterm Bottle. And we're going to use, I'm going to uncheck that default template. Nope, I'm going to give it a better name that hasn't been used before and call it video. We're going to use a template, excuse me. Nope, cancel, nope, cancel. Yes, we're going to start that again. File, new, drawing, model, assembly, video. We're going to do empty with format. We're going to choose the A style. We're going to hit OK. And we should have this A size sheet that comes up right here. All right, so first thing we need to do is we need to place a general view. We're going to default all of those. We're going to click where we want that to be approximately. Remember, we're going to have probably about the center of the page there. We're going to change that view. We're going to leave that scale. Let's look at the scale of this one. I would say that's probably half scale in there. So we're going to stick with what Creo suggests on this one. We're going to change to that front view. We're going to apply that, and then we're going to go to View Display. And we're going to change from File Environment to No Hidden. And then Tangent Edges Display Style is going to be Phantom. We're going to apply that, and we're going to see our bottle look like that. All right. All right, so far so good. Let's go ahead and project some views here. From here, we're going to go down and show the bottom. And then from here, now let's just go ahead and set that up. Display, we're going to do the same thing. No hidden. Phantom. Apply, hit OK. Project again. There. Okay, so project. Oh, let's regenerate that. There we go. It's the quick way. Oh, and lock view movement is on right now, so we can't move anything else. Make sure you turn that off so that if you want to, you can move your views around the screen a little bit. Let's project this one here. So projection, there we go. There we go. So go off to the right. I know it looks the same as this, but we need it. So let's change that view display. Hidden, phantom. And at the end of this, when you're done, this should look like that example. It should have all those same elements. We should have all those things in here. So let's go to this one. Let's not forget about all right, first things first. Let's do this. Let's do this sectional view. Okay, so let's double click on the thing we're going to cut. Okay, so we're going to cut that. Let's turn those planes on because we're going to need those to pick where the thing's going to be cut. And remember to turn those off at the end because when you print those are going to show on your plans. And if those show on your plans, it's definitely going to be a point deduction on your from this 100 points on this drawing. All right, so we are going for and looking for sections. We're going to do a 2D cross section. We're going to start a new one. It's going to be a planar. We're going to hit done. And we're going to choose, we're going to name it A, that view A. And the setup is going to be from a plane. So we got to pick that plane, which we've picked there. We're going to hit apply. And we're going to hit OK. And we're going to shut that off right away because we don't want that causing us problems later. And we have our section view. Let's go ahead and move that around a little bit, center it up a little bit better. And remember that we need to, when we do this, we need to go in. We've got to go back to the section view. One thing that we forgot is in our view display. Oh, per view type sections menu. There it is. We got to scroll all the way over to the right and choose that arrow display and which view it's going to be on. It's going to be on that one, and apply that and hit OK so that we have that there. That is a big thing that needs to be there, right? And if it's not there, that will be a point deduction definitely. Okay, so don't leave that one off. Don't lose those points. That's a silly thing to lose points on. All right, so next we have a detail view. So we need to start a detail view right here, kick it off to the side over there. So let's get that done. So we're going to do a detailed view. We're going to pick an object to be the center of that. So I'm going to click right there. That looks great. And let's go ahead and sketch and create that spline to show where that detail view is going to be. Remember, we need 3 sides of it. to get it done. It's good. Nope, we jumped out of it. Nope, it's there. Let's just regen the view there real quick. Boop. Okay, double click. And there we go. All right, so we've got the view. There we go. And pull this off to the side. Something like that. Let's get that centered up there. Text is probably still a little too large. We'll remedy that here in a little bit. All right, so now we need to enter in and get that exploded view shown in here. So let's go to general view. Let's add a view in there. And we want exploded view. Okay, so we got to click on view states, and we got to go under view states and go in explode view, check that box, apply it, and then we'll get that exploded view in there. And let's make sure here, yep, we're showing that as a drawing rather than as an isometric. So make sure that that's still changed to have the same settings as the other elements of your drawing here do. So let's get that. Let's go to view display. We're going to no hidden and a phantom on the edges. Apply that. We're going to hit OK. Move that down a little bit so it's centered. It's not this way in the drawing, but you could increase that size a little bit. I probably would on this print in most cases just to make it a little bit larger and stand out a little bit bigger, but that's okay. We're going to leave it like the way it is and not overcomplicate things. All right, so text. Our text, let's go ahead and fix that a little bit, make it a little bit smaller. So we're going to go to the File menu, and we're going to go to our options, not our options menu, but our Prepare menu, and go to Drawing Properties. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on Detail Options, and we're going to find that text height, and we're going to change that to 0.125. So make sure you change that text height on there to 0.125. Okay, we're going to apply that, and we're going to close this out and close this out. And now our text size makes a little bit more sense for the rest of everything. All right, so some other stuff we need to do. We need to have some dimensions included in here. We need to get in our dimensioning menu so that we can add the center mark on that. Let's make sure. Is there anything else we need to do? So we need to do center mark. We need to get our bubbles, and then we need our bill of materials, and that's it. All right, so let's get the center mark on there. So we're going to go into annotate, and we're going to click on this guy, and we're going to show model annotations. All right. So center mark on our bottom view here. To do that, we're going to go to show model annotations under the annotate tab. Click on there, click on that bottom view. Make sure we check that center mark here in this panel. It comes up, hit apply, and close that out. Then we got that one. And then the last thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and add some balloon notes. So we're going to enter a balloon note with the leader. And we're going to click on the part and hit. It'll be a normal leader. Annotations, balloon note. Do an arrowhead. With the leader. Default. Normal leader. Done. All right, so to add those balloon notes on there, we're going to go into annotate. Annotate, we're going to choose under annotations, balloon note. And then we're going to choose some options. We're going to do with leader. It's going to be vertical. We're going to enter the information. It's going to have a normal leader on there. We're going to leave default style. We're going to click on make the note. I'm going to click where. So adding the balloon notes, we're going to have choice to go to either under annotate. We can find balloon notes under annotations. Or if we go preemptively to table and grab a balloon note under the table tab, under balloons over here, we do balloon note. We're going to leave these options with leader, enter, horizontal, normal leader, click on make note. We're going to click on the location of that thing. And then we're going to click again the location for that note. And then we're going to enter what that's going to be. This bottom part's going to be a 1. We're going to check mark twice. We have that. We're going to hit done. We can come and grab that and move it off of there a little bit. So let's do that again. So balloon note. We're going to click on make note. We're going to pick where the leader is, so where that arrowhead is, and then where the note is actually going to be. There's a second click. That's going to be a 2. We're going to left click the check mark, left click the check mark again. Click on done. Then we can grab a hold of this and bring it out. All right, so we have our numbers on our parts, but we don't have a bill of materials yet, nor do we have our name in here. So let's get the bill of materials done. So in the table menu, we're already in there. On that tab, click on table, and we want to create a 3 by 3 table, 3 rows, 3 columns. And we're going to drop that in right here. And then like on our example, we're going to grab this right here. And we need to have item, name, quantity across the top. Item, name, UTY, UTY, there we go. Second row, our item is going to be 1. Second item is 2. Quantity of each of those is 1. And we can do this automatically in Creo, but with something that's as simple as this with just 2 parts, it's just easier just to go ahead and put it in manually. So part number 1 is just going to be the bottle. 2, just double clicking to get into another field is going to be the cap. And let's see, alignment wise, what is this set up as centered on our example? Everything's centered on there, so let's do it that way on this one. So let's go ahead and pick the whole table and choose centered on everything, center, alignment. There we go. All right, so we have our table. And as our parts, we have balloons on our parts. What is the last thing we need to do? We need to create another unattached note. So we're going to go to annotate. We're going to go to note. And we're going to do an unattached note. We're going to click right here to get our name in here. And please put your name on here, not my name. It doesn't help me out a whole lot to tell what's your work versus I know what mine is. I need to know what yours is. Let's go ahead and get that note in there. And if we want to make it nicer, we can go ahead and do that. And let's make that font a little bit bigger. Let's make that 1.5. 0.125, right? 0.15. So 150 thousandths tall. And I think with that, we should be good. Let's get this centered up. Let's double check and look at our example. Make sure we're not missing anything. We have the detail. We have the bubble 1 and 2. We have our parting line shown and labeled. We have our name. We have our center mark. And with that, the only thing that we need to do is just go ahead and print that thing out. Create a PDF of that. Save that in our midterm folder. Weaker midterm. Save it. I'm going to go and open it up just to make sure it's good. There we go. All right, so make sure that you submit the following things for this one. You're going to need to submit the PDF of this. Okay, that's your 100 points there. We need to also submit your part file for the cap, your part file for the bottle, and the assembly file for the assembly of the bottle and the cap together. Okay, I need those 4 things, all 4 things. All 4 things submitted. Bottle is 50 points. Cap is 50 points. Assembly is 100. And the drawing is 100. So it gives you a total of 300 points. Again, it's due this week, coming up on Saturday. If you need help, stop by. Office hours Tuesday, 3 o'clock until 4:30. Link is on the first page of D2L. If you need to get there, come on by and see me. That's it. See ya.